A mentor once told me something in my early 20s that I've never forgotten. If you don't want to end up like everyone else, you have to make sacrifices most people simply aren't willing to make. I started with nothing. No degree, no connections, no safety net, and eventually built real wealth. And honestly, a huge part of that wasn't about the things I did right. It was about specific, common traps I managed to avoid. So let's talk about 7 of them today. Not vague motivational fluff, but the actual specific habits that quietly keep smart, hardworking people broke for decades without them ever realizing why. Trap 1. Chasing money instead of chasing skill and ownership. Here's a thought experiment. Picture 2 paths. Path A. You take a boring but well-paying job. Money comes in steadily. Your friends think you're doing great. Your parents are proud. And for a while, everything feels fine. Right up until your income quietly plateaus, because you're paid for your time, and time doesn't scale. Path B. You take a genuinely hard, lower-paying job or opportunity. The first couple years are rough. You might struggle to pay bills. Your friends quietly wonder if you're falling behind. Your parents might not fully approve. But your earning potential keeps climbing because you're building something that compounds, either a rare skill or a piece of ownership in something real. Every self-made wealthy person you've ever heard of chose Path B. Every single one. I dropped out of school at 16 with no diploma and somehow still landed several job offers. I picked the lowest paying one, an apprenticeship, hard physical work, brutal hours, because I knew the skill I'd walk away with mattered more than the paycheck. There was zero chance of ever owning part of that business. I did it anyway, because I was playing the long game, not the immediate one. That decision compounded for years. Every low-paying, skill-building job I took after that functioned like another blade folding into a Swiss Army knife. Each one adding a tool I could later combine in ways nobody expected. If you're starting today, focus on high-income skills specifically suited to right now. Copywriting, video editing, coding, that kind of thing. Yes, plenty of people claim to do these already. Here's the secret. Most of them are mediocre at it. Real competition is thinner than it looks. The second half of this trap is ownership. Actually owning a piece of something, so its growth becomes your growth. That can mean starting your own business. It can mean negotiating equity at a company where your specific skills are genuinely hard to replace. Buying shares in someone else's company barely counts here unless you can actually influence how well it does. Be realistic about sequencing, though. You generally need real skills before real ownership makes sense. I never expected equity in that first apprenticeship. I was there to learn, not to negotiate a stake I hadn't earned yet. The trap in one sentence. The more obsessed you are with money right now, the less likely you are to build real wealth later. Chase skill and ownership. Let the money follow, slower than you'd like, but for much longer than a paycheck ever would. Trap 2. Buying the appearance of wealth instead of building the real thing. Picture cruising through a sun-drenched city in a bright yellow sports car, pulling up to a $500 dinner without blinking. Feels successful, doesn't it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people living that lifestyle aren't actually wealthy. They're renting the car. They financed the trip they still owe money on for months. They ordered the dinner they genuinely can't afford. It's an illusion, because performing wealth online is dramatically easier than actually building it. And when you're constantly exposed to that performance, it's tempting to start copying it, convinced everyone else's life is better than yours. It's not. A huge chunk of people can't cover a surprise expense of even a few $100s. Plenty worry about paying regular bills. And most families can't actually afford a new car outright. The flex you're seeing online is, statistically, mostly smoke. Once you've actually built wealth, buy whatever you want. That's genuinely the point of having it. But early on, you cannot simultaneously live like royalty and build real financial security. Skip the depreciating stuff, the flashy car, the designer wardrobe, the constant expensive dinners, and put that money into actual assets, investments, a stake in a business, something that grows instead of just looking good in a photo. Trap 3. Insisting on doing everything alone. You might be genuinely excellent at what you do, but no matter how good you are individually, you will never outperform a team of talented people working together toward the same goal. Look at almost anyone who built something significant in business or sports. Dig into their actual story, and you'll find help everywhere. Mentors, co-founders, timely introductions, people who opened doors that weren't opening on their own. There's a well-known real-world example. A group of people who worked together at an early online payments company later scattered out and independently built several massively successful companies, largely because they kept investing in each other and trading advice long after that first company was gone. The lesson isn't, go build a billion-dollar company. It's, the people around you compound your results, or they don't, depending entirely on whether you built those relationships in the first place. And here's a specific, less obvious opportunity worth knowing about. A huge number of older business owners are genuinely lost when it comes to modern tools and technology. Online scheduling, basic websites, simple automation, the stuff a lot of younger people consider obvious. That gap isn't something to be smug about. It's an opportunity. If you understand tools that older owners don't, you can genuinely help modernize their business and get paid well for doing something that feels almost trivial to you. Trap 4. Drowning in everyone else's opinions. Ever feel like you're being pulled in a dozen directions at once? About your career, your workouts, your relationships, everything? That's because everyone around you has an opinion about what you should be doing, and absorbing all of it at once creates a specific kind of paralysis. Too many inputs, too many possible paths, and a brain that simply can't process the overload. The fix? Work backward from a rough target instead of forward from every voice shouting at you. You don't need a perfectly defined future. A general direction is enough. Then, filter every piece of advice through one question. Does this actually move me toward that direction? Cut the volume of opinions you let in, and prioritize quality over quantity. A mentor, someone who's genuinely done what you're trying to do, over the endless stream of casual, uninformed takes from people who haven't. You don't need to absorb everything at once either. Take in what's relevant now, apply it, and go looking for the next piece of guidance only once you actually hit the next specific problem. Try to hold everything at once, and you'll burn out mentally before you make a single real decision. And that exhaustion often gets mistaken for laziness when it's really just overload. Trap 5. Letting ego run the show. Genuinely arrogant people, statistically, don't even make it to the end of videos like this one. They assume they already know everything, so why bother listening further? And that's exactly the trap. Arrogance blinds you to opportunities that could otherwise change your entire trajectory. Ego-driven people obsess over the big picture, constantly daydreaming about the end goal, while missing the small, unglamorous steps that actually get you there. It sounds ambitious. It's actually a liability. You cannot skip the boring middle and land directly on the outcome. When your ego runs the show, you assume you don't need advice from anyone, especially not people who might actually know more than you. But real wealth isn't built on unshakable self-belief alone. It requires enough humility to keep learning, and enough honesty to admit how much you don't know yet. The more you genuinely learn, the more you realize how much is still hidden below the surface. Like an iceberg, where what you already know is just the visible tip, and the real mass of what matters is still submerged, waiting to be discovered. Arrogance convinces you that tip is the whole iceberg. It never is. Trap 6. Blaming everyone except yourself. There's an old saying worth carrying with you. The person who blames others has a long road ahead. The person who blames themselves is already halfway there. The person who blames no one has already arrived. Think of it as choosing between two tools, a magnifying glass or a mirror. The magnifying glass lets you zoom in on everyone else's flaws: your boss, the traffic, the system, bad luck. It's a dangerous habit because blame always feels satisfying in the moment and costs you everything in the long run. You blamed the teacher for a bad grade, even though you spent more time on Netflix than studying. You blamed traffic for being late, even though you left the house 10 minutes past when you should have. Small excuses like that don't stay small. Repeated enough, they harden into a permanent worldview. The system's against me. My boss doesn't like me. I never got a real shot. The more often you reach for the magnifying glass, the bigger your excuses get, and the smaller your actual agency becomes. The mirror does the opposite. It keeps your attention on the only things you can genuinely control: your own thoughts and your own actions. That's the entire difference between staying stuck and actually moving forward. Trap 7. Staying exactly where it's safe. This is your comfort zone, the place you retreat to for safety and predictability. Picture it as a closed circle with no gaps, no exits, a self-built cage disguised as stability. If that's where you're standing right now, you're in good company. Plenty of people never leave it, and plenty more privately worry they'll regret that someday. So how do you actually break out? You expand the circle, deliberately, piece by piece, which is genuinely hard because your brain is wired to avoid risk by default. Here's how that looked for me. As a kid, my comfort zone was tiny: school, subjects I hated, a traditional path that never fit who I actually was. So I stepped outside it and took on that apprenticeship I mentioned earlier. That created a little more room. Still not satisfied, I pushed further into side hustles, which opened up even more unfamiliar territory. Eventually, the obvious next step was starting my own business, a genuinely risky move that required real financial exposure, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions I ever made. Later, expanding that business meant navigating unfamiliar countries and cultures entirely outside my original comfort zone. And even once that business was genuinely successful, family proud, finances solid, some part of me still wanted more. So I pushed the circle out again and started making videos publicly, well past the age most people would consider starting something new. The comfort zone can be expanded indefinitely. It's not a fixed size, but you have to actually claim the space outside it, over and over, or you'll spend your whole life circling the same small territory, watching opportunities pass by that were always available to someone willing to step outside the line. So here's the actual bottom line. None of these 7 traps are exotic or complicated. They're common, ordinary, and almost every broke, stuck person you know is caught in at least 2 or 3 of them without realizing it. Chase skill and ownership over quick money. Build real wealth instead of performing it. Stop trying to do everything alone. Filter the noise instead of drowning in it. Keep your ego small enough to keep learning. Point the mirror at yourself before you point the magnifying glass at everyone else. And keep expanding what comfortable means to you, deliberately, for the rest of your life. None of it is glamorous. All of it works.